Good morning. One of my Cumberland Presbyterian friends and colleagues is Cliff Hudson, and one of the things that he likes to say is, I wasn't born a Cumberland, but I got here as fast as I could. And I really feel that same way, and I'm using it now, and I've stolen that from him a number of times. One of the things that I love about the Cumberland Presbyterian Church is, although this isn't completely unique to us, in some ways the emphasis is we do not see the Bible as being a Bible containing two totally separate covenants. The old covenant of the law, which was set up so that we could not possibly keep, and because we could not possibly keep it, we failed, and when we failed, God punishes us for failing to keep something we couldn't possibly keep until Jesus comes along with a new covenant and corrects all of that by keeping it for us. We've really rejected that, and instead what we like to say is there's a thread of grace that flows through the entire Bible, and that we find not this God of the Old Testament and God of the New Testament, but this loving, forgiving, redeeming God that flows throughout the Bible. And when we get to Jesus, what happens is just what Jesus says. I came not to abolish the law or abolish that first covenant, but rather to fulfill it. And by fulfilling it, it does mean making it possible for us to be able to be in God's presence in spite of the fact that we have not been able to fulfill that covenant. In the 105th Psalm, there is this wonderful passage that says, "Search for the Lord and His strength, continually seek His face. Remember the marvels that He has done, His wonders and the judgments of His mouth. O offspring of Abraham his servant, O children of Jacob his chosen, He is the Lord our God. His judgments prevail in all the world. He has always been mindful of His covenant, the promise He made for 1,000 generations." And then about 2 verses later it says that the covenant is an everlasting covenant. And so that's why in Hebrews 11 we have this great cloud of witnesses, and they are described for us through that entire 11th chapter. All of these people who lived before Christ came, and yet they greeted the promise of Christ from afar, and it was counted to them as righteousness. Likewise for us, when we greet the promise of Christ, it is counted for us as righteousness. And so we know that God has this covenant, has established this covenant with people that goes back as far as human history goes, as far back as we can remember or imagine, and as far forward as history will possibly go, as far forward as we can possibly imagine. His covenant is an everlasting covenant. And so on this beautiful day, let us recognize that indeed the covenant of God is everlasting. His mercies are renewed each and every day, and through Jesus Christ, His law, His covenant is completely fulfilled. And so we claim that promise, and we claim that promise because God is with us. Amen.